Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Fabulous Friday TV. Women from all over the world are joining together today to TGIF. Thank God it's Friday, but also to say thank God I'm fabulous, and we really are. Today, everything is about celebrating fabulous, living fabulous, being fabulous, and feeling fabulous. I'm Sherry Kallergis. I'm in Vancouver, on the west coast of Canada, with At 45, the magazine for women when life changes.
And I'm Anne Marot, and I'm the founder of Women Connect, an elite membership program for women to empower them, to upskill them all in one place. And I'm also the co founder of Fabulous University alongside Sherry. And I'm very happy to be here, and I'm so pleased to have Jane here. I can't wait to hear what you have to teach us, Jane.
Hope so, hope so.
It's going to be an amazing show today. Anne and I are really feeling blessed that you've come to take time out of your busy schedule to be with us today. And we so appreciate Jane coming in all the way from Australia. It's like, I think, 3 o'clock in the morning there. So, Australia, or actually New Zealand, I'm sorry, Jane, from New Zealand.
It's all right, not a problem.
So our show is being broadcast live on our Facebook channel at 45, as well as it's taped and shown on our YouTube channel later on in the week. So just when you're sharing, remember that what you're sharing is going out in the universe. So today we're jumping into summer. It's just the first week of summer vacation for many of us. And we're looking for tips about creating a summer environment that gives us peace and pleasure, whether we're at home or cabin or maybe a vacation trailer. We're always looking to downsize and sort of reorganize so that we can spend less time cleaning up, trying to keep everything under control. And so it's going to be a great show because I always struggle with keeping my place organized, and I wish I had a decorating bend, and I definitely don't, but I sure love looking and hearing what other people are doing with decorating. And an interesting fact that during COVID, we would think that things sort of were winding down, but it's not true in the spending of furniture, appliances, and home equipment and that. Online spending in the quarter ending May 2020 shot up to $12.1 billion. So we were in the midst of COVID, but we were spending money on our environment and our home because we were all spending so much time there. And that actually represented a 50% increase in spending from a quarter, that same quarter a year before. So that is a huge amount of money. So our homes are important to us. And we want to live in an environment that is pleasing to the eye and also meaningful to us, as human beings. So I actually didn't spend any money during that period of time. So I'm not quite sure what the problem was. But Anne, did you buy anything in the first quarter of that year?
Well, I'm so busy on my computer, I don't even see anything else except for what's in front of me. But I decided a long time ago that I should get into a routine of cleaning out my cupboards at least every 6 months, and get rid of all the stuff that I'm not using. So if I'm not using it or I haven't used it in the last 6 months, it has to go. So, of course, the people that work for me were very happy when they started receiving things because they were like, "Oh, what are you doing with that?" And I'm like, "I'm getting rid of it. Can I have it?" And so that's what I do. Every 6 months, I clean out my cupboards, and I also get rid of, because of some allergies to dust. I get rid of all the unnecessary clutter that's normally around, like these little ornaments that are normally just dust collectors. So I'm a minimalist, if that's the correct word, a minimalist. I just keep as little as possible around me. So if ever I have to pack up and rush overseas, I can do it.
Then that one.
Just pack my clothes in and go. But anyway,
Well,
back to you, Sherry.
that's a good way to be, Anne. My mother was exactly the opposite. She kept everything. So when I actually left home, I went to that sort of lifestyle too. But it's taken me a while to get there. But now that my kids are adults, they're always complaining that I threw away all their possessions, things that were meaningful to them in their childhood, which isn't true. I have little boxes downstairs for each of them, but kids, they accumulate so much, and if you're not getting rid of it, especially as we age, we want to downsize. It's hard to take care of all that stuff and keep it clean, like you said, and dusting and all that. So I like the minimalist approach.
That's
Also.
the thing with aging. We inherit our parents' stuff, and if they've been hoarders or collectors or just life stuff in general, when our parents sort of pass away and we get all their stuff, where do we put? It's an emotional thing, and so how do we get rid of stuff that we have an emotional connection to? And I know when my mother moved from the family home into an apartment, throwing out stuff that she was just tossing out, while it wasn't necessarily stuff that I wanted or was useful to me, it had an emotional connection, particularly to my childhood. Just things that I knew that they'd bought on their travels and things like that. I mean, one was a beautiful, beautiful rich red Venetian glass ashtray. I don't smoke. And it was so heavy. It was really, really heavy. It was beautiful and thick, but I couldn't see it thrown out. And I took home quite a few things from my mum's place that I kept for about 2 years until I was emotionally ready to say, look, I actually don't need this. It's beautiful. I have the memory of it now. And you have it sometimes decluttering or just getting rid of stuff in general is a process of elimination. It might not be today, because you've got that emotional connection to it, but a couple of years down the line, it's okay. I can let go. Mum's in a new house. I've got new memories there. I don't need an ashtray. I mean, I only know one person that smokes these days. And so you can, and obviously I don't let people smoke in my house anyway, so I could let it go. But it is a process, and even like, if you're decluttering in your home, I can remember when the children were younger, I'd decluttered the linen cupboard, with pillowcases and tea towel, tablecloths and things like that. And then 6 months later, I'd go back to the linen cupboard again, and I think, well, why did I keep this 6 months ago? It's it's a process of elimination. You can get rid of more as time goes on, because you realise you're not using it, you're not wearing it or whatever, it's your own clothes. It's just a process of elimination and takes time. And
Yeah.
That's a great way to put that, Jane. Like, I never thought of that, but it's absolutely true. And so this is a good time. Let me introduce you. We're so pleased to have Jane with us from New Zealand. Jane Beckenham started the Facebook group Love Decorating 4 years ago, simply because she wanted to connect with others who loved decor and their homes as much as she did. And it's experienced a huge growth. I think she has over 117,000 women from around the world. But decor is just one of Jane's life journeys. She's a mother, a wife, and now she's a grandmother. Jane's been married for 38 years, coming up next week. Congratulations, Jane. And adopted her 2 beautiful daughters from Russia. An author for 20 years of historical and contemporary romances, Jane has put the pen aside for a while as she adjusts to life in the third age, retirement, and wondering what happens next. So welcome, Jane. We're so pleased to have you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm glad I got here because I only woke up half an hour ago. It's 3 o'clock in the morning here, so all good. I am delighted to be here, and it is, life is a journey, and decorating's a journey too. It's, we can go off to a shop and buy a whole room setting. You can go off to, big stores and buy everything they've got there that they show in a room because it tugs us if we like it. And we can put that in our own home and we can live with it and we like it and love it and the rest of it. But life is a journey, and decorating should be a journey. I very strongly believe that our homes, particularly now with COVID, should be a sanctuary. And last year for us here in New Zealand, we've actually got through COVID pretty easily, thank God. We've had a few lockdowns, but nothing massively, and we actually live life fairly normally. But you was talking about what we did in COVID, and yes, I did buy things in COVID online. But the interesting thing with that is that there isn't much. The shipping of everything is very slow, and so all the things I was buying online, there wasn't that many, but they took months to get here because of COVID. Now I wrote some notes today, and I probably hopefully I don't wiffle waffle too much. And please just interrupt me, Sherry, whenever you want to, because I don't know whether you want me to just blabble away or you've got questions and things like that. So just, ask away or whatever. But last year with COVID, I think particularly that year, our home became absolutely so crucial to our well-being, to our mental well-being, our physical well-being, and just our I'm putting psychological here as a different from mental well-being. I'm saying our psychological, how we relate to everybody else in our home. And I think last year that showed up hugely. As you say, people were out there shopping up a storm. Because all of a sudden you're home 24/7 and you see the paint that needs redoing. You see the curtains that are faded at one side because of the sunlight. You see, the sofa that's got springs that have gone bust, and things like that. You're seeing it 24/7 because you're not going out to the office or whatever you do for work, and that's the only thing that you had control of last year was your environment. And when you have the psychological thing of seeing something that you don't normally see or you can live with because you're not there all the time, suddenly becomes a huge part of your physical, psychological, the whole mental well-being, and just your and comfort. I mean, our homes, I personally believe, have to be our sanctuary, and I believe that passionately because, as I say, you can go out to a shop and buy everything, and you said, Sherry, you didn't have you don't own the decorating gene. Your jacket is the same colour as the picture on your wall behind you. Now, I'm not sure if that's a faux thing that you've put up, or it's like a digital background, or it's actually a real background, but your jacket has that colour and the art behind you. So you've actually coordinated really, really well. It's there. You are there. The flowers are in the same sort of pinks in the photo. So that is part of what you create. And, that's your decorating gene.
And who knew?
See? Who knew? Who knew? I think decorating is not about going off and buying all these pretty things. I mean, that's the fun part. The bones are actually how your physical environment works, like the house, the physical structure of the house, how it works for you. We live a lot bit different now than our grandparents lived. We live in open plan homes mostly. We don't have separated rooms for dining and living. Everything's sort of much more relaxed and open plan. We can see each other. Mum can see everybody while she's cooking dinner or dad's cooking dinner, hopefully. But that unfortunately is not my case. I'm the one that cooks dinner. Actually, a fun thing with that during COVID, because it's just me and my husband and one of my daughters lives at home. And during COVID, I was just really getting sick of cooking. And I counted out that in 37 years of marriage, I had cooked about 14,000 dinners, and I was over it. So I made my daughter start cook, and my husband, well, he doesn't cook, but my daughter, I made her start cooking. So yeah, so those again is one of those things that through COVID, it hadn't worried me beforehand, but all of a sudden my environment, because I was cooking in the kitchen all the time, became really, really important to me. So I'm not sure if you want to know a little bit about my background with designer. Do you want me to talk about that as well?
Yes, the floor is yours, Jane. You just share.
Okay.
And
all right, okay. Well, I'll tell you a little bit about my background and love decorating and stuff, and then get on to a little bit about decor and stuff. As I say, I might waffle because I'm kind of written some rough last minute notes and it might go all over the place. So, haul me up if I'm waffling.
We will.
Okay, as New Zealanders typically go on what we call an OE, which is an overseas experience. And we typically do that in our early 20s. And I left New Zealand when I was 20, which was 1,000 lifetimes ago. And we usually go back over to Britain and we work in England and we go travel in Europe, backpack through Europe and stuff like that. And I did that when I was 20, and I lived over in England and Israel and a few places. And then when I was traveling, I was 22 and I was backpacking through Europe. And all of a sudden, when I was in Italy, I suddenly discovered design. And it was home design or decor, I suppose, or accessories and things like that. Now, I had flattered in London, but, when you're overseas, you don't typically buy lots of house things because you've got to get it home and all that sort of stuff. And I can remember having a little notebook or a diary as I travelled around, backpacked around, and I was drawing pictures of the things that I saw. And that was the first thing I can actually remember when I that affected me as about my decor, about my environment. I was taking ideas back home. Well, I intended to take ideas back home to New Zealand. Fast forward about, 15 years, I suppose. I was married, and we hadn't had children at that stage. We'd been married for 13 years before we had children. And I did actually a course, what we call correspondence course, what you'd call online today, an interior designer. And I qualified as an interior designer, but I didn't work as an interior designer because in New Zealand, we're a very small country. We don't typically have, Joe Blogg's general person, the normal person would not hire an interior designer. It's just not one of those things that we would do. And also, when we were small, our the availability of product, although it's not so bad now, but 20, 25, 30 years ago wasn't expensive. And we'd moved into 1, 2, 3, I think we're about our third house by that stage, and we were adding on to it. We'd bought a house, an old place, and we were ripping it to bits and adding on, and that's when my design thing came in. And I can remember the thing I was looking at is I remembered walking on the beach down in Monte Carlo, in Monaco, and seeing all these beautiful. Everything was pink and white and blue. And remember, this was the 80s when grey and pink was like the thing. And I painted our walls. My husband painted them. And now I don't know what you call that. Fairy floss. We call it candy floss. That blue fluffy, pink fluffy stuff you get at fairs that you eat, candy sort of stuff. We call it candy floss. And I had walls that colour. Which when it was going up, I was thinking, oh my God, but once you had the furniture in front of it, it wasn't so bad. And I had curtains. I made all my own curtains because I couldn't afford to buy new, ready-made. Excuse me. And I had curtains the same colour, but I put a purple stripe edging down. One just about killed me sewing those curtains. I just had a nervous breakdown over them. I hate doing curtains where you pull those tie things. I would never in my lifetime ever do those again. So that's kind of where it all came through. And then I became a mum, and we had to, have children's bedrooms and things like that. Our children were adopted at the age of 5 and 7. They weren't babies. So it was, right into, fluffy toys and all the rest of it. And I wanted to work from home. I did not want to go back into the full-time workforce. I've waited 13 years to be a parent, and so that was my thing is my, you know, real thing is my home and my family and my sanctuary and all that sort of stuff. And so I tended to, I used to buy masses of overseas decorating magazines. So they were really expensive for New Zealand, like $20 for a magazine, which would cost, say, $4 in the United States. But you know, I love them. And of course, when we did travel, because we went to the States a few times, I would come home with masses of magazines in my bag because I couldn't get them in New Zealand, and things like that. So there's always been a thing there. My sister, one of my sisters who's passed away since, she also was always, well, she also was very good at putting a home together. She moved a lot, and was always good. I used to get jealous of all the beautiful bedding she could buy. I never found lovely bedding. She could always find beautiful bedding. Just seemed so perfect, so right. So those are the sorts of things that affected me. And then about, you know, 5 years, a few years ago, when my daughter got married, and et cetera, and I was an author for 20 years. While I worked full-time, part-time from home, I did a night job at night. During the daytime, I wrote. I became an author. I wrote books, historical and contemporary romances. But at the same time, I loved decorating, and internet came along. I absolutely adored going onto the internet and seeing stuff. I mean, Pinterest is like heaven to me. And so the internet opened up the world of decorating. But what I was also finding is the life of an author, and also we live slightly in the country, not 4 kilometres from a township, but we're still a part of the Auckland, the great Auckland area. And I was lonely. And, you know, I have a bunch of girlfriends who are writers who I get with every Thursday, and that's sort of my non-negotiable, will never change. But I was lonely, and I started a Facebook group, Love Decorating, just thinking that maybe other people around my area were interested in decorating. We could meet for coffee. That kind of started off okay, but all of a sudden, a member who was on the group, who was actually a cousin of mine also in Auckland, she promoted the group on one of her mother's groups online. And one day I had 50 people join one day. And it went steadily for about 3 years. At the end of November 2019, we had 10,000 members. Then all of a sudden, with COVID, it shot up to 100,000 in 1 year. So we grew an extra 100,000 people in 1 year. I mean, I was getting 300, 400, sometimes 700 people join a day. It was a massive growth. It's wonderful, but in one way, bringing everybody together, and people do love the group. They do actually literally love the group, and I'm so grateful for that. But as it's got bigger, the closeness, I was going to say not personality, but the closeness that I had to a lot of people is dissipated because there's just so many people there. And there's so many comments, you know, things. I can't comment on everything. The snugness of it is not isn't as it was. But then again, it's a wonderful group. So I started doing online consultations. Because one of the things I noticed, I mean, if people are into decorating, they will have read decorating blogs for years and things like that. And I love decorating blogs. I mean, I remember discovering blogs thinking, oh my God, it was just like sensory overload, seeing what people could buy and how they decorated their homes and ideas for crafting and just, you know, there's some beautifully talented people out there. And one of the things I found with that over a period of time, though, and I did do some blogging myself and stuff like that. While I was working, I was also blogging and all that. But I found that over time, I stopped reading, particularly last year. Actually, I stopped reading blogs. I was, you know, unsubscribing to them, and I realised that what it was that people were wanting always more. Better, the newest trend. It wasn't about, I mean, to them possibly it was about creating a beautiful home. I'm absolutely sure it probably was, but it just to me seemed not that they were ungrateful. I'm sure they weren't. I'm absolutely sure they weren't. But there was a two-pronged thing with it. One was that they weren't happy, they weren't content with what they had. And now I'm not a super greenie. I'm not saying that, you know, like we should be minimalists or anything like that. I'm certainly not a minimalist. I'm in my home office at the moment, and it's an absolute tip site at the moment because we're in the middle of going to rip everything out and redecorate it, just because it's, you know, there's always one room in the house that becomes a dumping ground, and that unfortunately is our home office. But anyway, so it kind of made me dissatisfied with the blogging world and the decorating world, was that people, you know, you'd go in there and everybody had the same type of rug. Oh, I bought this rug, and they'd seen it somewhere else, and somebody else had bought it, and so on. And I thought it was sad that they were never happy with what they had, and new was not always best. You know, as I said earlier, buying something on a big box store, when you go in and it's all, you know, you see a room set in a designer store or Home Goods or somewhere like that, and you think, oh, I love all that, so you bring it all home, and then you'll love something else and you'll bring all that home. Well, to me, it's just not I don't know. I didn't feel comfortable with it. I think that's what I think. I just felt really, it made me feel dissatisfied with what I had, and I didn't like that feeling. And the other part of it is that I think that, you know, your home should be a sanctuary. Your home is an image you project to the world of who you and or your family are, what it is that makes up that sum total of your family. Now, if you go off to a big box store and you buy everything new, and it becomes yours, yes, but is that really a true indicative thing of who you are? And I think that goes back to saying, when you're decluttering, you know, and you can't throw something out. Again, going back to that day when my mum was leaving the apartment, one of the things I told you this, Sherry, the other day, was that when mum threw some stuff out, one of them was a little toy sewing machine that it was about, you know, 12 inches high, I suppose, that I had as a child, one of those little hand sort of things like that. And it was a little bit rusty, and the handle on the wheel thing had broken off. But the thought of throwing that out, which I'm glad I didn't now because it's a bit of an antique, was horrible. And I've kept that, and I use that in my decor, and it's a unique item that, one, has meaning to me. It has a history with me, and it's a unique item. It's different. It's not plastic. It's not something brand new and sparkly. But it's me. It's part of me, and our homes, as I say, need to be a sanctuary, but they need to be part of us. It's, you know, when you choose colours and carpets and curtains, that is a part of you, but it's the accessories that really indicate who you are. I can go through 3 or, you know, things in my home. Okay, at the front door, we have a Singer sewing table base that we found on the roadside 35 years ago. That my husband, you know, de-rusted it and painted it. The top of that table is a slab of marble that he got from a job. My husband was working as a builder about, you know, 30 years ago before he retired and stuff. And that something came from a job that somebody was throwing out. It was somebody in a super rich house that was throwing it out. They were throwing out all these wonderful things. Got it for nothing. Got the table for nothing. Then if we go further into my home, I have a gallery wall near the dining area, and that is all photos of my family and my children when they were young, and my father in his army uniform in 1939, my mother-in-law in her army uniform at the same time, my grandfather, who I never knew, in his outfit he got married in, and my grandparents as the day they got married. They're all in frames they got for $2 at this, you know, second-hand shop. So they have meaning. I do have some brand new art I bought for $20 at a big sort of box type store. We have a store here called a chain store here called the Warehouse. Probably a little bit like, probably like Walmart, that type of thing. So I have you're mixing. Yes.
So I see that your Facebook has 117,000 people. And I'm
Yes, it
sure
does.
I'm sure that our audience would love to know, firstly, how you manage that, and also like what are the common things that you find on the group that people are asking as far as decorating of their homes and or
Okay. What do the common thing? Really, they want affirmation that what they've chosen or going to choose works. Does this carpet go with the right curtains? They like it, but they haven't got the confidence to make a final decision. Example again of that with myself. I've just redone our master bedroom. I had a purple bedroom, and it's now gone to, I wanted to go neutral, which is unusual for me because I'm a real colour girl. And I've had some vintage or picture frames, the two of them matching. And I took out the glass in the picture, and I just wanted the empty frame up. I've gone for a French country style. And I put up a picture of how I had done these. And I really wasn't happy with whether it looked a bit staged. It just didn't feel relaxed. And I put the picture up on the book, on the post, and everybody came back and said, yes, no, whatever. And it actually just confirmed what my gut was telling me. Now, not everybody has the confidence to decorate. And again, even me will say that I just don't think it's working. What have I done wrong? And sure enough, I went back to my original plan of how I envisioned it. So it's all about, you envision it, but sometimes when you see it on the wall or in the room, it doesn't look as how you envision it. And so getting that confidence or clarification from other people. And we have some very talented home decorators, and some who are qualified and some who are just blooming well talented. And they will give you confidence to go ahead or suggest something that you hadn't thought of. So it's an ideas based sort of thing. Does that sort of answer what you were asking?
how do you manage all those people? Are you running it
Well,
yourself?
I do have two. I have two other people that help me. One is that cousin that also lives here in Auckland, and she's a bit of a night owl. But of course, we're on different time zones, and so another administrator, she is I think she's in Florida, but she travels around quite a bit. And so she's a lady from the group who I got to know really, really well. We were both quite, we just talked a lot, and you have to feel comfortable with whoever else you ask on to be an administrator, because you've got to trust them that they're not going to go in and things. And she's a lot tougher than me. She won't put up with any rubbish if people go in there and post nasty things and stuff. She's like, right, gone, So that's quite good. And the thing is that she's awake when I'm asleep. You guys are up during the daytime. It's now whatever it is, 3:30 in the morning. Typically I'd be asleep, so she can take care of the crap that happens during my nighttime and so on. And also, if I have to go away for a day or I'm not near the internet or whatever, excuse me, they can take over and things like that. So it depends how many administrators you need to have or help, how much help you need. I think we work really well together. 3 is quite enough for me.
Yeah, I'm sure. Do you have a decorating business as such? Do you leverage your group for business, or do you just do it for fun?
I was originally doing, and particularly last year, I did a lot of online consultations where I did what I call restyle, which just goes back to this: use what you have, but with a little bit of help of new stuff. I like to be able to help people redesign a room or part of their home using what they have, maybe something from another part of their house. They go on Zoom calls, and we'll walk around, they'll show me things. I'll say, oh, hey, listen, let's bring that down here. I think can do that. And that works really, really well. I haven't done as much this year. I've sort of let it go a little bit this year. Just mainly because I actually basically haven't advertised it much this year at all. I do have people companies coming to me asking me to do collaborations and stuff like that. And I did one which I liked the product, but I didn't like how they wanted to word things. And having my writing background, I wanted to be, and their English wasn't that great. And I did sort of subtly say, look, can I reword it? But it just didn't work for me. I've got to feel really comfortable. I've got to be true to who I feel I am, the group is, and what I am comfortable with. I've currently got 2 people asking to do collaborations. One's a jewellery company, which I'm thinking, why would they want a jewellery company on a decorating group? It doesn't make sense. But, you know, I haven't looked at it properly yet. I would have loved to start a subscription service through Love Decorating. I haven't. I don't quite know how to take that to the next level. And it's also a quantity of content based, as how much content do you offer. I do online workshops. I tee up with another girl that's a professional organizer. We're both trained as professional organizers, and I tee up with her and we can do workshops, or I've done workshops on my own. I've written non-fiction books to do with decorating, which I self-published. And also, what was the other thing? I think it's just gone straight out of my head. Sorry. I think, does that answer the question? Waffling time.
Yeah, no.
You're definitely waffling time.
It certainly has given us a bit of an overview, because that's a very big business. And in my opinion, as a marketing person, I would say you need to take advantage of what you've got there in that group. And
my husband keeps saying to me, if we had $1 from everybody that was a member, would be wonderful. But I just actually don't know how to go about it, and I think that's probably why I've sort of fallen off the bandwagon somewhat. I don't have a lot of technical skills and things like that, and I just pulled back. So it's and I think, you know, I'm 64, which is not old. No. I see that you had somebody on your a blog post or something on the group that it was about a lady, you know, you're never too old to start a business and stuff. So, but I think it's just because I don't know how to go ahead and do it, and so I haven't done it. And it's a huge opportunity. It's huge, absolutely huge, but that's what it is at the moment.
Well, when I'm doing one of my free courses, I'll let you know, and you can come on. And you're very
I'd love
welcome.
to. Yeah, absolutely, please.
Yeah, you're very welcome to ask me any questions. I can definitely help you there if you want, if you need some help. Does anyone have any questions for Jane? Holly says, I use two methods. I have two methods. Have I used it in the last 6 months? And the other one is, when I pick it up, does it bring me joy?
Oh, Marie Kondo. Oh, yes. She took the world by storm, those sort of things. That is true. And I've used her method. It's, you know, you get everything out on the floor, on the bed or whatever, and you say, well, look, does this bring me joy? And actually, it kind of works. And also, then the thing, how I used it in the last 6 months, again, it goes back to my linen cupboard. You know, why did I keep that 6 months ago and I tossed things out? It was realizing that, you know, it's a process. Sometimes we cannot get rid of everything all at once. And again, I think also, like, I know Japan has very small homes. I have family in Japan, and they have a lot smaller homes than we do. So, you know, maybe they have to get rid of stuff a lot more, be more harsh on themselves to get rid of it because they don't have the space to store it.
I think, though, as you mentioned, Jane, there's a huge shift to, especially with the younger people, to start, you know, to try, which you were mentioning before about reusing things, you know, and one example is silverware from my mother, which might sit in the, you know, cupboard, whereas my daughter would prefer to take that silverware out and use it every day.
Oh, absolutely. It's the old thing of, you know, you have your best dress and you bring it out on Sunday sort of thing, isn't it? It's just not, why have it if it's in a cupboard? For many years I collected Carltonware china, which is that cabbage leaf plates and stuff. I have a massive amount of it, but that was 30 years ago, and it's not my, again, everything it involves, it's not my style today. I would love to sell it. I've got a couple of pieces, 2 or 3 pieces that are, you know, quite special, and I'll probably keep those, but the rest of it I'd like to sell it. My husband doesn't want me to sell it, so either it gets stored in a box in a cupboard, taking up valuable space, or, you know, I have it out on display, which it is currently out, but actually in the middle of, well, before I woke up this morning, I had decided that I was going to redo all those shelves and take it all down and store it back away in the cupboard. But it's a process. Decorating is a process, decluttering is a process, and if you can accept that it's not going to be all a rush, you know, rush and done, it'll be okay. It won't be too stressful.
Right.
And do you have a couple starting points that you would recommend for people? If they were getting-
Yeah, I do. The first room I would always either decorate or start decluttering in, always, is your own personal bedroom, because that is the first place you see in the morning and the last place you see at night. That should be the room that is restful and rejuvenation to you. And if it's decluttered or not decorated in a pleasing way to you, then it's not refilling your soul. You know, our soul and our well-being, our heart needs to be joyful and restful and refueled. And if our environment, i.e. the bedroom, is a cluttered mess with, you know, clothes, you know, the wardrobe's bursting with too many clothes, there's exercise equipment in the bedroom, and that's just a coat hanger really, then that's not rejuvenating to you, it's not restful. And so I always would start in the bedroom, no matter what. But again, start with your clothes. And that, again, you know, nobody says how much clothes you should or shouldn't have. That's up to you. It's a personal thing. I've decluttered quite a bit of my clothes. I actually managed to do my husband's wardrobe about a month ago. I was like, yes, oh yes, because he would not let me do it. And he I can't be bothered, you know, sort of thing. And I finally got to do it. I was like, oh yes. And everything, I'm a bit OCD. I like everything color coordinated and sad. Although don't look at the bookcase behind me, because that's an absolute pigsty. But as I say, this is the dumping room until we redecorate. But yeah, absolutely the bedroom, because you deserve it. You deserve to have that restful, beautiful place to sleep in and rejuvenate before you start your rest of your day.
And just a quick question from Holly. She says, have you done painting cloth furniture? Just an amazing repurposed opportunity.
Okay, I haven't, but I have two friends that have done it. And I am actually seriously considering it. I follow a lady on Instagram who's also here in New Zealand. I think she calls it French country design. I'd have to double check the link. And she had a bed head, which beautiful, lovely linen bed head and wood, but for some reason she didn't like it. I loved it. So she just painted it last week. And I have seen this done on blogs and things over the years. And what the trick, I think, is to spray the fabric slightly with a bit of water before you put the paint on. She had to do 4 coats. It looked absolutely fabulous. Now, I've also seen Lone Fox, who's a YouTuber and Instagrammer. He just recently did that to a chair, which he made it look like a leather chair. Now, I asked my husband about both of those because we're considering doing our bed head, because unfortunately it's got a stain on it. And I tried getting the stain off and it's come up a lot worse. And so I thought about doing it, but my husband was worried that the paint, once it dried, would crack because it makes it hard. I don't know the answer to that. I haven't found that out yet. The other thing, I have a very good friend, a South African friend, actually. We have a lot of South Africans here in New Zealand, as you probably might know, because you might have family here, I don't know, but she's an extremely good artist, and she does a lot of painting on painters, what we call drop cloths, you know, the painter's cloths you put on the ground, and she's been making tablecloths and stuff. Beautiful work. It's quite time consuming, but she's done some fabulous work with that. So to answer the question, have I done it? No, I can see it's been done. I still have got a bit of research to do on it, and it is a great opportunity because, you know, we can't always afford to have something reupholstered, etc. like that. So it's using what you have and trying it out.
And I'm curious, Jane, what's like with so many people in your Facebook group, what's the most unusual decorating trend you've seen, or something that somebody's done that you've just been astounded?
We used to have a chap actually that would come in, and he was a lovely chap, and he was in his first home, and he was quite retro-y sort of decor, and he would, you know, hey, I bought this, it goes with it. And the ladies were absolutely fabulous. They were really you know, encouraging him. It was lovely. Trend wise, you've got a lot of, it's interesting. I think trends often go with age groups. And what I'm noticing is women in their, say, 30s maybe 40s, but that age group, are going for a lot of sort of slightly boho, or what I would call mid-century modern, or lots of black and white, and that sort of very sort of spatial sort of thing. And I did have a newsletter that I used to put out with the group every month, and I featured quite a few of these ladies in that, because I just love the look of it. It looks really striking. So it seemed that those sort of design styles seemed to me, and I may be quite wrong on this, but that was just my thing, go with an age group. Whereas, say, my age group would go more for the slightly cluttered look, I suppose you'd say, of like farmhouse and et cetera, because we're of that generation where we have more around us, the abundant generation of the 60s, where life was full of abundance. So that was the quite interesting thing. The other thing I do notice is that, particularly because, over 50% of our group is North American, is that there's two things are quite unusual. Well, to me are unusual. One is particularly unusual. The unusual one is that people dress their dinner table, their dining tables. They just like dress them. They put out all the linens in a theme or something, and I think they use it. They just have it set there. They said, "Oh, this is my dining table this month," and it's like all the tables, all the plates are out there, and the cutlery and the glasses and stuff like that. And it's kind of like, for me, that's weird, because I use my dinner table every night, but they do it as that's how they present it. If people come to visit, that's how it'll be set all the time. It's like 24/7. I think that's, for me, kind of a weird thing, and I don't know whether that's a North American thing or just an American thing. And the other one would be that Christmas time is, celebration thing, that a lot of people decorate for holidays that I wouldn't have decorated for. I mean, typically we would only decorate here for Christmas, but I have got into the thing of decorating for autumn a little bit, just because I bought some stuff when I was in the States, and also for Easter. But over there, in the North American market, as I say, particularly most of the group, is that they decorate for Valentine's Day, St. Patrick's Day, July the 4th, Thanksgiving, autumn, Christmas, Easter, and I'm sure there's a few holidays I haven't thought of. And I think that's quite unusual. It's not something that's done in New Zealand at all.
Okay. And Corin wants to know, do you shop for your clients to find those special pieces?
I do. I do. Oh, sorry, carry on.
No, that's it.
Okay, I do. What I've done in the past is, okay, say if you came to me and said, look, I want to be able to redesign my lounge. I don't know what to do with it. There's a form. I would send out a detailed questionnaire, and then they send me particular photos of the room, and then we have a Zoom meeting like this. I go around the room or around the house, and we look at different ideas and things like that. And I ask any questions that I need to know about how the room's, extra questions I need to know that might come up just as I see the room. And I get to know what they like and dislike and stuff like that. And then I will do a design plan of how I think this room should look, with what they definitely want to keep. And then I will look up for things like side tables or lamps and pillows and throws and all those sorts of extra things, or sofas if I think that we could get a better design, things like that. So yes, I do. I typically go to places that I know that North Americans can use, online buying like Wayfair, Rugs USA, those types of places, because while I can't get those products myself here in New Zealand, I can see what's online and what's available to other people. One design I did for a Canadian lady who was out at, I don't know, what's that? Nova Scotia? Yeah, Nova Scotia.
Yes.
And I did a lovely, I was really thrilled with that design, because they had a house with lots and lots of glass, and we were able to bring the lake into the house with the colours. We actually changed the wall colour. I come up with different visuals of wall colours and ideas and things, and it's fun. I love it, because I can shop without spending any money, and but I'm also aware of the cost. I don't want people to have to think about spending thousands of dollars. It's not about that. It's not about lots and lots of money.
Yeah, we do have someone on the show today that's from, how do you say it? Nova Scotia. How do you say
Scotia.
it?
Nova Scotia.
Nova
Yeah,
Scotia.
I'm there. Yeah. In Halifax, Nova Scotia. I'm curious who that was.
Oh yeah, look, I keep thinking, I'm not. She's in a smaller town, but it's not. I keep thinking she was out near. Is it Thunder Bay?
Nope,
Thunder
that's
Bay?
Northern
that's-
Ontario. Nope.
That's Ontario, isn't it? No, there must be somewhere else. But she was definitely Nova Scotia because I can remember seeing all the.
Yep.
Which was near a lake anyway. But I'm sure there's lots of lakes there.
There are, yeah, small world. And I love New Zealand, by the way. I've been there and it was just gorgeous. Just
Thank you.
Fabulous.
It's very cold at the moment. We're having a polar blast at the moment, so it's very cold. It's cold for us.
It was actually quite amazing because when I reached out to Jane, if you know, we actually had 2 other women who were supposed to speak today, and I reached out to Jane and she very kindly stepped in. But it was so amazing because she actually has lived or visited a couple blocks from me on the west coast of Canada, so she's traveled a lot.
I have a big affinity to Canada. I've been there. I've been to Canada 9 times, and I lived in Canada in the early 80s. And I talked to my girlfriend who's in Vancouver, not far from you. I talk to her every day, well, nearly every day or every couple of days. We FaceTime and stuff. So yeah, I have a big thing. New Zealanders are like Canadians and I like Americans. We travel a lot. It's kind of what we do.
Well, and I think it's just amazing because you're talking about, doing decorating and your business online. You have this Facebook group, and the world is actually becoming a very small place, isn't it?
It is. I would never have thought I could do online consultations. I love doing them. My thing is that I really like to make it affordable. I just think it's something that, because I know as a human being that I couldn't afford to go to a designer and pay thousands of dollars for, this, that, and everything. So I wanted to make it affordable, and hence also using what you have, as well as bringing new stuff in, because that's the fun part, but also, repurposing what you have. I think it's really important.
And Jane, do you just want to, as we're closing up, do you just want to tell the name of your Facebook group for everyone listening?
Okay, the Facebook group is Love Decorating. It's one word, Love Decorating. And please come along and join us. There is questions that when you join, you need to answer if possible. We try, and not everybody does. I don't know why they don't answer them, but not everybody does. But we try and get everybody, just so we can get spammers our way out of the place. We luckily don't have a lot of that. We have some, but not a lot. But we're a very friendly group. Come in, introduce yourselves, have, see what and what we're always happy to help. Mention, if you do a post, mention that you saw me here, and make yourself known. Put my name in and mention me. That'd be lovely.
Well, I've just gone in and joined your group, and I've put the link in the chat, and so anyone who wants to go and join, the link is there and we'll make sure that it goes on the Facebook as well.
And if anybody wants to reach out to me too with restyling rooms or their home, please don't hesitate to reach out to me either through the Facebook group or message me personally, and I'd love to help them. Always happy to help. It's fun.
Okay, great.
Well, thanks so much, Jane. And are you going to start organizing some room now, or have you got a decorating idea that you want to put in place?
Well, as I said, if you have to see my room, it is the bare minimum. I like the space. I don't like things that gather dust. So there's just the bedside tables, the lamps on them, and I have wall-to-wall cupboards around. So really no other place besides behind my bed where my headboard. It's actually 4 big pictures. So there are very little things in my room, and I'm happy that it's like that. And if you look through my home, it's very much the same. There's very little dust collectors and things like that. So I really do try to keep down to a minimum with little goodies, and people know not to buy me those ornaments and all those type of things, because it's just Yeah, I'm not that type of person. I like the open spaces and just, you know, for me less is more. Yeah, so that's from me,
Lovely.
and just want to say thank you again, Jane, for coming today and chatting to us, and for also filling in for on the last minute for us. Our other speakers couldn't make
Not a
it.
problem.
So back
You're
to
very
you, Sherry.
welcome. Not a problem.
Yes, thank you, Jane. So next week, we've got a very interesting show too. We are going to go to Italy virtually. We've got Gabriel, who's the owner and manager of a beautiful villa outside of Venice. It's called the Torri. Uh, it's a family-owned villa nestled in the Tuscany Hills outside of Florence. The villa is managed entirely by family, including his parents, Paolo and Maria Pia. And they've got olive trees. They make their own olives, olive oil. He's going to speak to us about the difference between extra virgin olive oil and regular olive oil. And they go hunting for truffles. It's just an amazing place. And we were celebrating romance next week. So we thought, let's take a romantic trip to Italy. So you'll want to make sure and be in on that show next week. And I think it's going to be an amazing weekend here in Vancouver. I don't know if you've heard, but we actually set records for how hot it was actually around the world. There's a little town in the middle of BC, and they hit
Linton,
the
is it Linton?
record. Yeah,
Yeah.
Linton, BC. So it was so hot, it was unbelievable. Talking about bedrooms, in my bedroom, it was 45 degrees. So very, very warm. So it's cooled down a little bit, and we're looking forward to having a great weekend where we can actually get out in the sun. So we want to say, remember to live fabulous this weekend. You are fabulous. So have a good week, and we'll see you next week.